this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to the only item on the agenda, which is this discussion. Justin?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your attendance, given the weather. This is an important meeting, and we're so thankful for the turnout. Also very thankful that we have some Blue Zones staff members here as well. Very, very excellent that this timing worked out as such. Just for a little bit of context before we turn it over to our consultant, in December 2015, the City Commission approved a park inventory and assessment, what we kind of generically refer to as Park Master Plan. And that included survey information that was obtained. It included an assessment of various parks. And kind of the result of that process was a discussion that the city would focus in on its most heavily used parks and dedicate its resources to those handful of parks versus more broadly spreading the funds and resources about to our total inventory, which is about 35 parks or so. And so the logical follow-up to that effort from 2015 is this effort that we're here tonight for, which is an effort that started early this year or late in 2016, where the City Commission hired CLS and Associates, which is a landscape architecture firm in Oklahoma City, to work with staff and the community to look at some of our main park facilities. Those facilities are Boy Scout Park, Kids Space, and Woodland Park. And what we also asked them to do with Woodland Park was look at the downtown more broadly. So don't just look at Woodland Park, but look at the potential expansion of Woodland Park and look at how we can connect the improvements that we've done on Main Street to our existing assets downtown. So we have Connie Scothorn and Brian Patrick with us this evening from CLS and Associates. And so with that, I will turn it over to them. They will give a formal presentation, and then we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers afterwards. And then after that, please feel free to come up, look at the drawings, and we'll have city staff members and our consultant team by each of the drawings to help answer questions and to solicit your comments. So thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Connie Scothorn. I'm here with Brian Patrick. We are with CLS and Associates in Oklahoma City, and we are landscape architects. As landscape architects, we are similar to architects in that we design spaces, only our spaces are only outside, so they include and they specialize in parks and streetscapes, gardens, playgrounds, and just your average landscape. So that's how we got started on this. We did begin all of the plans for these parks based on the Park Master Plan that Justin was talking about. And the purpose of this meeting is to show you how we've arranged, how we've designed the parks, to see if you have any questions or comments, if you like it, if you don't like it. Those are the things we want to know now rather than find out after construction has begun. So we'll begin with these 4 parks: Kids Space, Woodland, Celebration of Life, and Boy Scout Park. And beginning again with Kids Space. This is a very popular park. It has paved parking. It has a great big open grass field, which is very popular. It has a pavilion with electricity, which is important. Some of the cons of this park: the playground equipment is failing, and it's the old wood playground, which was very popular probably 15, 20 years ago, but it's really outlived its life and needs to be replaced. So we'll talk about some of the opportunities that we can do, starting with preserving or developing that open sports field, which is a real asset in itself for games like football and frisbee and soccer. We want to preserve that for many reasons, but partially just for running. The second thing that we have added to that park is entrance seating area, so that, and I'm having a hard time knowing that it's right behind me and not being able to point. But the seating area would be right at the playground so that parents can sit there and watch their kids play. They can sit in shade on paved surfaces, and you can see from the middle image and then the lower image some of our visions of what that would be, with lots of picnic tables and places to sit.
And also one thing that we wanted to point out is the existing trees are shown in the solid green, and us as landscape architects, we want every tree in the world to survive, so we are also adding more trees, and so I just wanted to note that on the
All right.
future
The
plans.
new trees are shown kind of brighter and, you know, more important, even though they're not. The existing trees are more important. So the main thing we're looking at, probably the biggest improvement to the park, is a new playground. And because of the kids' space name, we thought it would be really fun to have a space-themed park. A lot of the playground design now are themed, and it's kind of fun for the kids. The other thing that's happened, I think, in the last 10 years or so on playground equipment is that it's really gotten a lot more fun. For a while there, when all the new safety guidelines came out, I think playground designers pulled back and they stopped. They were so concerned about not being sued that, you know, slides were taken out of the cart, teeter-totters were taken out. Now a whole lot of new equipment has come back in, so playground equipment is a lot more fun, and it's more safe, and it's accessible to the disabled. So it's really an advantage to see a brand new playground go in. Other features that we've added, 8-foot wide walking trail encompassing the whole park. When I was there looking at this park, there was a little kid, poor thing, she was so cute, on one of those scooters that does that, and she just went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. There was no place for her to go. So it was really obvious to us that you need a bigger trail that can take you around the park. Along that trail, you can include exercise equipment so that everybody, not just the kids, every person of every age can enjoy that type of activity. We've also added a basketball court just north of the skate park, which will add that extra feature as well. Because of this large open field, it does leave the opportunity for movies in the park. This is just something that usually is brought in for a special occasion, but it's a good way to get the community together, lay around in your blankets and watch the movie. So that's a lot of fun. We have also included new shade shelters, a small one near the skate park, because right now there's no place to sit and watch. Which is quite a performance, so you definitely want to be able to sit and watch. And then we've added a large shelter that would be similar to the shelter that's there. That shelter would have electrical power and lots of picnic tables so that you can have 2 parties or 2 events going on in the park at the same time. All right, that is basically our summary for kids' space. If you want to comment on that park now, or have any questions on what we're doing there? Yes.
Is there any parking for the second pavilion?
The question is there any parking for the second pavilion? At this time, no. We felt like we've got parking taken care of, but on the other hand, there is parking along the street down there near that second pavilion also. Yes?
You mentioned the playground equipment would be inclusive for those with disabilities, but the playground equipment that was shown has steps and those kind of things, so children with mobility issues or in a wheelchair would not have access to that playground. What are the plans for those types? And even like the ground surface being accessible even for adults with disabilities or caregivers with disabilities that need to get closer to the equipment to help the children?
The safety surfacing that we have been using in most of our park designs is the wood fiber, and when it's compacted as it's supposed to be, it is accessible. So it does allow everyone the chance to access each playground equipment that's there. And there's always a accessible route, and that accessible route guarantees that while they're walking through that, you're not going to have a slide come hit you in the head. Which is good for even people that aren't disabled. We do have, every time you do a playground design, there is always a percentage, I can't tell you for sure, I think it's 10%, that have to be accessible to those in a wheelchair. Those aren't specifically shown here. That would happen when you do the final playground design. But it's law. Well, I don't know if it's law. We treat it as law.
Right, and I guess my question is less about accessibility, because even Kid Space right now is accessible and has some equipment for children with disability, but they can't get to
They can't
it.
get to it.
Because the ramp going into Kid Space ends at an 8-inch drop. And for them to be able to access slides, they're not going to be able to go upstairs. So how do you get a child that's even in a walker, or maybe has a clumsy gait, up steps to go down the slide and access that equipment?
Well, you will never have everyone be able to access all equipment. But there is always some activities, like 10%, that is available by transfer or by just actually accessing something that's at ground level. So, yeah, you're right. You can't, not everybody's going to be able to climb the slide and come down.
And I'm just aware of some playground equipment now that has more ramps, that has all ramps, that would be accessible for everyone.
Right.
And
We've
not
talked
just
about-
saying the 10% for children with disabilities. To me, that's really not an inclusive playground. That's saying you can swing and watch everybody else play. And that's not really inclusive. So I guess that would be my concern at that. My concern is that it be an all-inclusive playground, not just for children with disabilities, but again, for those caregivers that need to access their children on the play set and maybe have a cane or maybe have a prosthetic or those kind of issues that need to be able to access that equipment or get close to that equipment for those children.
Good point. That isn't how we were
Right.
planned on designing this, but I think what we are looking at is much, much better than what is there. The ramps, and we talked about having the entrance to the playground a firm surface with the board-in-place surfacing on the top rather than allowing that drop-off. But then there's still the maintenance. You have to maintain the fiber surfacing, the fiber wood surfacing all the time, and that is something that we've talked about also. Yes.
One of the main reasons that we're changing the equipment, safety issues or to raise the fire issue. I was just gonna say, just from a fun sense, that looks awesome. But my kids love so much the huge amount of ramps that are there now from one area to another area. You can be at the upper level for a long time. And I guess there's a park in Norman, kind of like that has sort of a wooden castle theme, and it's just very big, complex. And so that looks so exciting to me, but I'll be a little sad to see that go, and I'll probably want to take my kids to the Norman Park, so they'll still have that experience.
I'm not exactly sure what your question is, but
I guess-
change is hard.
I guess my question is, are we changing mainly because of safety?
Yeah.
Okay.
The safety of the playground, it really isn't accessible at all. And the safety of that equipment really has diminished. And the new equipment, you're going to love it. Anybody else before we go on to the next one?
Walking trail concrete?
Yes. Okay.
Any more questions? The next park that we would like to discuss and show our ideas for is the Briscoe Boy Scout Rotary Park. This park has a lot of great features, in particular the very large shade trees throughout the entire park. It does have that walking trail, an existing walking trail, running around it. The pavilion has electric service, so that's a plus. And it also has a large open grass field. I see that. Yeah, that's fine. It has a large field in the drainage area. Some of the cons of this park is the playground, again, is outdated. It's a little separated. The storm shelter, it might be structurally unsound. We're not sure of it at this point. And the sidewalks throughout the park are somewhat disorganized and not very friendly to the pedestrians. And I'll go on over the opportunities on the next couple of slides. The first thing that we want to do is create an entrance plaza to the park. Create some sort of pergola or shade structure idea that could be repeated throughout the park to give it an identity. And located between the parking lot and the new spray ground would be that plaza, and on the bottom right is what it would look like. It would just create that feel of I'm in the park and I'm excited to be here. An easy way to get people to come to the parks is, again, adding exercise stations along the existing trail. In order to alleviate some of the traffic or the parking issues related to the annual car show, we would add a new small parking lot, and really the only area that's open without large trees. And also throughout the park, we would, like I mentioned earlier, organize the existing walks and add new walks to create connections to the adjacent neighborhoods and just make it more friendly to the pedestrians. Another one of the exciting things that we would propose adding to this park is a new gazebo/bandstand located directly in the north side of the park, and we located it here because the audience can sit in the open grassed area looking north and not have the sun in their eyes. This could be a great place for performances, weddings, community events, things like that. On the east end of the park, we would also proposing to add two new large shelters and relocate the existing shelter away from the comfort station to allow for larger gatherings and multiple events happening at one time, should that be a need. Going with the theme of the Briscoe Boy Scout Park, we think it would be great to have a large consolidated playgroup area. And one of the unique things about where this is located is directly to the south and west of the playground is a large hill. And something that we think would be fun and unique would be to recess a slide into that hill, and the children can slide down into the playground and go over and over and over and over. And that is a short synopsis of what we are proposing for Boy Scout Briscoe Rotary Park, long name. So are there any questions or comments related to that? Yes.
I'm just gonna harp on the all-inclusive.
Go for it.
I mean, I just feel like the size of Shawnee, we can have one of these parks be all-inclusive.
Okay.
Muskogee opened an all-inclusive park in March of this year. Mustang has one opening in June. And one of these playgrounds can be all-inclusive that can include all children. You know, I just feel like Shawnee can do better than meeting 10% ADA compliance. And we can make all the kids happy, not just, and leave out those kids that can't play.
We appreciate that feedback, and what's shown here is just a sample. You know, we have not identified specific equipment, and we have to go through a procurement process, and so we've heard that comment before, and as staff, and we like the idea of being as inclusive as we can. So please don't feel like you're like we're taking your comments to heart.
Yes, and I just want to make sure that my voice is heard.
Anybody else?
I know they have the Frisbee golf there too. Are you planning to keep that, do anything with that? That's a pretty cool feature.
You know, I saw that. We have not talked to the Parks Department about it. It is a cool feature, but it takes up a lot of space, and I kept looking at those, I call them baskets, but that is a better technical term, and realizing that the way I throw a Frisbee, and probably the way half people throw Frisbees, people are in danger.
Sure.
And I know that it takes a lot of space. I'm not sure there's enough space for the location of where those baskets are. I think it's a fun thing, but I'm not sure there's are there 18 holes there?
Just 9. Yeah,
It's just 9. Yeah, there could still be, we didn't get that specific in our plan.
I will say my kids really enjoy that Frisbee golf at Boy Scout Park, and that it is hard to kind of locate the
Yeah.
Frisbee golf sites, and it's not set up to be really user-friendly, and that might, if that's able to be kept, that might be something that needs to be looked into so that it's,
You know, again, we did look at it, and we did talk to the Parks Department about it. We should, you're right, we shouldn't have.
Yep.
Something we-
You're keeping this splash pad, you say I missed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's a great splash pad, and I guess you've got big shelters out there now. too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be kind of in conjunction with that new feature closet.
Yeah.
will, anything be done to the tennis courts there that are
The,
resurfacing or anything like that?
we're planning on leaving the tennis courts as is on our.
We're really not addressing maintenance,
Yeah.
so if
Yeah.
there's
Okay.
resurfacing that needs to happen, that's something to talk about.
It seems to me that when you're using a pavilion, you're taking a lot of stuff to it. And your pavilion, this one over here anyway, is a long way from the parking. That's a long way to carry my stuff.
That's true. I agree, that is sometimes a problem. These other two new ones are a lot closer.
I see that.
Yeah. But the other, the other one, we looked at it and it's just like right next to the pump station. It's not where I would want to be eating. It's probably-
I understand
Yeah.
that as well. I'm just saying, anybody using a pavilion is probably taking a lot of stuff.
Anybody else?
I'm guessing your parking lot is coming off that dead end street.
Yes.
That's always been a problem with that park, is finding a place to park the car. It is,
Yeah, that was really the only place that we saw that we could add a large parking lot without taking out a lot of trees. And from what I hear, the car show, there's just cars everywhere, clogging streets and all sorts of stuff. So,
yeah, it's pretty bad.
yeah, I haven't seen it, but yeah. Okay, so the third park that we would like to talk about today is the Celebration of Life Park in downtown, in the downtown area. This park has a lot of pros. It has great public street frontage. The existing gazebo is very neat and fun for the downtown area. And in particular, the large mural on the building to the east is a great feature. But some of the major con of this park is there's not a lot to do. There's just no activity, no reason to come to this area of downtown. And I'll talk about the opportunities on the next couple of slides. So we would like to add stuff to do. We would like to add a fountain as a focal point, visible from the road. And fortunately, the city of Shawnee saved their historic brick pavers whenever they redid their streetscape. And so we think since the existing plaza has those pavers, it would be fantastic to expand that plaza to the east and end with a small stage for performances and for community events. This would also be a great place to relocate the farmers market to, food trucks, and also we would add, because I don't believe there's a lot of seating there now, we would add benches, tables in the shaded areas to allow for people to come down for lunches, bring their kids, things like that. And shown in orange, we would add a smaller playground. Not all playgrounds have to be really big.
Since I've got this, I'm going to show off to the lady who wants accessible playground. This is, to me, an example of something that's really fun and it's accessible. This can be a swing, for a person or 4 people. As you can see up there, and anyone can use it, and it's fun.
I would really love to see a playground that has And that's a good point, and I love that. But right now, the playgrounds that we do have that have accessible equipment, they're primarily a swing. And I would just like to see more that's
Well-
accessible than one thing at a playground. Because I think there's so much that can be done now to make it inclusive for everybody, and everybody has fun on all the same equipment.
Sure. And so those are the proposals for this park. Are there any questions, comments, concerns?
I have comments.
Sure.
I think it would be a lot more visually attractive if the house that's behind that park, and I don't know if you've talked about that, if that was removed and opened up where you had more of a visual toward the parking lot. And I don't know if that's something that's planned in the future or if that's even been brought up. But looking at it opening up that way,
Yeah.
it just really makes it would make it more pleasing to the eye.
And are you talking about this way or
Yes.
this way?
Yes.
You know, and we, of course, we didn't recommend tearing that house down, but what we did do is we showed, and we talked about it, a wall.
What I'm thinking is you can see the parking lot then, and you can do pavers across that goes across from that park that kind of guides your eye to the parking lot so that you visually, oh, there's a parking lot there.
Okay.
And then if they redo the lights and do some of that, then you can kind of combine it together where it kind of works together.
Sure.
The restaurant's there, you have more seating in the back to where people can eat outside. It kind of pulls the two areas together. You could do an area where kids can ride tricycles. They can draw the little streets on the pavement.
Oh,
It
yeah.
makes a little area like that. It'd be very inexpensive, but it would get interaction with the younger kids. There's nothing really in Shawnee to do with younger kids, like the 3 or 4-year-olds, that kind of thing. To kind of make it where it's friendly to them.
Okay.
That's just some of the things I've thought of. You could take
Definitely.
tires, sink them in the ground, have them sticking up so they can crawl over them, and it gives them something else to interact with. So I don't know, just some
Yeah.
things
Great.
that I can visually see, but I would share that.
I love the idea of the tricycle path.
Yeah.
The stop
Little
signs.
Stop
Yeah,
signs
sure.
and things like that.
Any more questions? Concern? Okay.
And so the last park that we're going to talk about is Woodland Park. This is really a great park. Definitely got to be the jewel of the park system of Shawnee. The best part probably for recreation is the pool and the spray ground, which is just fantastic, and it's got to be a huge draw. The other great thing about this park is that it's a connection to a lot of different civic buildings, the auditorium and senior center and the county buildings. It's a good thing because there's lots of people involved in the park all the time. There are also a variety of activities and huge shade trees. I've never seen so many shade trees, big shade trees, as I've seen in Shawnee. I don't know what you guys have done. You must have the best soil in the state, but great shade trees. So cons, again, playground equipment stated. I guess that's kind of consistent with everything we talked about. There's also very little design theme carried through, and this is something that, you know, as designers we look at. So we see different types of tables, we see different types of benches, and we'd like to see that upgraded as far as aesthetics. And probably the biggest con, from my perspective, is that a park is surrounded by parking almost all the way around. And so, even though it's really a beautiful park, we don't see that. You see the cars. So, again, with the other parks, we have lots of opportunities. And we'll start with adding street trees and perimeter sidewalks as many places as we can, and also improving the entrance to the park on the south by eliminating the parking. I think there's about 7 or 8 parking places in this plaza and making that a green space with some seating. It would also enhance the park atmosphere when you're coming to it, and then also that beautification could extend down Bell Street and would give you that grand entrance into the park to be a lot nicer. Again, a new playground. We want to add the playground near the pool because it's like activities, lots of noise. We want to consolidate all the noise together so that those people that don't want to sit and listen to kids having a great time can sit in the more quiet parts of the park. Tennis courts will stay as they are, and this is the thing I talked about, organizing site furnishings. Probably 4 or 5 different types of benches, 4 or 5 different types of picnic tables. Just like you would never have 4 or 5 different types of chairs around your kitchen table, it looks better if everything is more consistent. And so even though the individual parks wouldn't have to all be exactly the same, it is better if one park has a design theme carried out through it. And that's what I'm showing right here. And that is the basics for the existing Woodland Park as it is, which is really not a lot of work. So before we go on, yes. Oh, I'll take it first.
Well, as being a veteran, and there is a memorial up there, I'd like to see some type of design that could have a permanent flag retirement pit built in there. The reason being that since it's a central area, it would be more access to a lot more people. We'd have, better turnout than what we've been having. Reason being is that we're trying to set up a 2-time a year flag retirement ceremonies. One around Flag Day and one around Veterans Day. We could have a permanent burn area right there. Would make it so much appreciated. A little bit closer to the street there so the fire trucks don't have to stretch a line out in case something happens. Just be on the safe side.
I think it's a great idea.
My question would be about replacing the parking that you take away. Just so happens I work in that building, and there isn't enough parking on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays when board is in session. Senior center fills up. There's never enough parking. So you take away those even 8 little spaces, there's going to be a real problem. So is there a replacement for those parking spaces?
Well, we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Okay.
Directionally challenged. I wonder if you could just go over and tell me what streets or what buildings or what buildings, because I'm just not able.
Here, I'll point.
Okay, so that's the pool complex. That's the pool building. Immediately south of that is the auditorium and senior center. So the westernmost street is Broadway, and the easternmost is Union.
Oh, that's a school.
The administration did.
That's school administration.
And then these are the courthouse.
Yes, the county building.
Where is Bell Street?
Bell Street is where that, right there.
Take away the parking.
All right, I don't see any more questions. So, one of the things we looked at when we were looking at this park is that there are a lot of these civic buildings in this area. You're getting a new museum here, and then you have an existing museum here. We talked with the Parks Department about connecting these areas with a big civic space. It's a good opportunity to create a large central park that would really encourage a lot more pedestrian use and a lot more recreation areas. And so we're going to talk about that area next, which would be the expansion of Woodland Park. And this is the plan that we've come up with. And again, I'll say this is a very preliminary plan. We kind of came up with it and have not had a lot of interaction with the parks, but I think it's a good starting point as far as development goes. So we connect right away. This is the existing Woodland Park. We connect with the roundabout, and we do that because way of avoiding turning left. You're always turning right. For people that are leaving the pool, they would turn left and then head back, turn right and head right back out. But they can also connect to this new expanded park through that roundabout. And the traffic gets to keep going up and down the road as it normally would. We have included a new roadway. We've taken out the existing roadways that go north and south, for the most part, and east and west. We've included a new roadway that encompasses most of the park. And we've added parking. And then we've added a pedestrian trail on the inside of that drive to provide pedestrian access and to separate the vehicles on the outside of that circle and pedestrians only on the inside of that circle. So it should eliminate a lot of vehicular pedestrian conflicts and make for a great, almost half-mile loop of a trail or a bike trail going around the park. At the end of this, we're to go ahead and reinforce the connection between the existing park.
Oh, gosh.
We have shown formal gardens, and at the end of that formal garden, a focal point, which would be a beautiful way to end this park. The formal gardens could be a place for weddings, for all kinds of social activities, as well as a chance to enjoy horticulture and the beautiful landscape. Quite obviously, and I don't know why it's not the first thing I bring up, we've added a pond in the middle of the park. This is really convenient because this is a floodplain alley, and there are houses that are there, but they're also right next to the creek that appears to flood, and it is technically in the floodplain. That pond would have one bridge, because this is an existing bridge, and it would have, these are fountains that would also irrigate the water so that it keeps the water. We've added parking. Again, we've added parking, a lot of parking. I'm not sure if it's the right place, but we have a lot of parking on the perimeter of the park. And again, this prevents that cross pedestrian vehicular problem. I will note that this area right here is also a big parking lot that's existing now. But it does exist. We've also added a grand lawn, and that grand lawn would be something, a place for frisbee, football, soccer during the day, and then it could be a lawn for an amphitheater performances at night. Again, whatever you do at night, an amphitheater, you always want to be looking towards the north so that you're not looking at the south. This works perfectly with that lake in the background. Other facilities, and we didn't go into great detail on these, but these are the facilities that we're looking to add: a dog park, a skate park, basketball goals, rock climbing. We kept looking at this building down here, which is extreme inflatables. Silo, which in Oklahoma City they've turned into a rock climbing event, which is another feature you could add to this park. It does have strong connections to the museums. They're down here. Unfortunately, this map doesn't show it. But it does show the rail trail, which I think is something that's already been in the works now, which would be riding right next to the existing railroad. Oh, and the playground. Another playground. Another really great thing about this playground is we can locate it right next to the entertainment venue so that as parents are playing around the grass, enjoying performances, the kids can be on the side, burning off energy. And special occasions, you can close that road easily, turn it into an arts festival. I could just see the tents like they do in downtown Oklahoma City lining that road And then other times, that road also allows places for food trucks that could park along different parts of the park at different times of the year for celebrations, and people can stay all day long. This is a perspective drawing of the vision from the park from the east, where you see the roundabout going in, focal point, whether it's a sculpture or a fountain, the pond in the background, Coral Gardens on the side. This again is existing parking and private land. This is also existing. But if you're looking at the perimeter properties, you can probably also imagine development along the side of that park. This is the view from the south, where you would enter. There's the ground lawn, people hanging out. We have new shelters shown, the new playground, parking here, and then just other activities, the pond, quite obviously, and then that takes you back to that roundabout to the east. Do we have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Have you put projected costs to any of this?
We have not. Our job is to get it to this point, and then that's the second point. Yes.
How many years will it have for this?
That could be,
Yeah, this is an intentionally ambitious and something that would be more of a longer-term project. The other items that were mentioned earlier are more affordable, obviously, and things that with city commission approval, we can phase in hopefully over the next 5 years. This is probably a 5-year plus project, 5-10 years, kind of that sort of time frame. This project would probably not be funded with current funding. It would have to be some type of special funding initiative that was voted on more than likely, unless the city was very successful obtaining grants or some other funding source. So we wanted to be, we wanted to dream a little bit with this vision, and that's why we're here and throwing it out to you all for feedback. As Connie mentioned, it's very preliminary, so you may have questions about some of the buildings that are underneath this image. Keep in mind that this park can shift, it can shrink, it can, you know, we're not acquiring property or doing anything like that at this time. This is just very much a preliminary exercise. So any feedback would be much appreciated. We shocked everybody with it. This is a completely new park. Yeah, everything underneath this space currently is a mix of residential and industrial and commercial properties. And a lot of vacant land.
and again, you can see, this is the existing Woodland Park, and this is what we've been showing you.
So we go from 6.87 acres to 39 acres, is that what you're saying?
Yep. Now, that does include the museums, and it includes that big pond. It's a 2-acre pond. But I meant to bring that up, and you caught it. Now, this is where I expected all of the questions.
You did.
Yes.
Expect that if we were to invest in something like this, that it might draw new business into Shawnee. And I mean, I would want to live in Shawnee if I knew this was.
I hate to put them on the spot, but we have Blue Zone staff here, and they have the benefit of working in hundreds of communities. Any feedback you'd like to throw out, sir?
Well, first of all, I love the concepts that you're presenting. They're very well founded. But there are a lot of things that the great parks of the world have done, and one is to create really profound edges, where you're invited into the park, but you realize you've left behind housing stock, you're now entering the great place for all the sharing. One of the things that we're trying to promote very heavily is age-friendly parks. There are other things that you put in an age-friendly park that we would love to share the ideas with you. And natural playgrounds. It's what children most miss about not being able to have easy access to the outdoors. And there's some brilliant new ideas coming forth with natural playgrounds. But I think you have a lot of good concepts, and wherever we can be of help, we would like to sit down with you and share with you those ideas. But I'm glad you're getting such good input from the public as well.
Thank you. Any other comments? I think we can adjourn, and then as I mentioned earlier, our consultant team will stay around, and we'll have staff members around, so if you want to come up and approach the boards after this and ask any questions you didn't want to ask in the group or provide additional comments, please do. And thank you so much for your attendance. Mayor.
Thank you all for coming. We welcome your input and your ideas, and don't mind your criticism. If we've overlooked something, then please tell us. I know you all will appreciate Dan and Samantha being here. We are adjourned. Thank you.